In this video, we'll be talking about another type of population interaction in which the the interaction between the population is beneficial to one. So, or may not, the other species may or may not get affected by it. So, over here, when we talk of this type of population interaction, it is beneficial to one species. Now, in this category, we have first the commensalism. In this, species A is benefited, but species B does not show any effect. It is neither benefited nor it is getting any sort of harm. The second type is the predation. And the third type is parasitism. So these are the three types of population interaction in which the benefit is given to only one of the species. Now let us first start with commensalism. Commensalism is actually a type of association in which the benefit is there for one species while the other species is neither harmed nor gets benefited. Now, there are various examples to it and we are going to understand it. The species that gets the benefit is known as commensal. And the species that it is getting the benefit and the species that is not affected is known as the host. So commensal will get the benefit whereas host remains the unaffected partner. Now we will take the example. The first example which we'll be talking about here is the association between the cattle ergot and the cattle itself. This is the first example we'll be talking of. Cattle ergot is a bird belonging to the species of heron, and it is found in tropic and the warm temperate zones. So this is a type of a bird and it is found in close association with the cattle. They are not actually staying on the cattle or having the utilizing directly from the cattle, but they normally move along with the cattle and they feed on insects. Now, the cattle ergot and the association with the cattle is a type of commensalism because when the cattle moves, it actually turns the soil upside down. That is, it actually stirs up the soil and brings about the insects which are present in the soil to the upper layer, and these insects are then eaten up by the cattle ergot. So what is cattle ergot getting? It is getting the insects as food, whereas cattle remains unaffected. There is no harm to it, neither the cattle gets any benefit. So cattle ergot are found closely associated to the cattle. This type of relationship is commensalism. The another example which we are talking is that between the orchids and mango tree. Now, the orchids, like some example is there. Example we can take, Vanda is an example of orchid that is found to grow on the mango plant. Now, this is an epiphyte. That means the epiphytes are actually the plants that grow on other plants. So it's kind of an epiphyte over there, orchids. And these orchids are growing on other plants and they get only the shelter, but they do not harm the plants. So if an orchid grows on the mango tree, the orchid gets the advantage of having the shelter, whereas the mango tree unaffected. There is no effect on the mango tree. So here it is plus, it is 0 over here, it is plus, and it is 0 over here. It remains unaffected. So this is again an example. The orchids will be getting the shelter and protection from the mango tree, where it will thrive nicely, but mango tree will remain unaffected. Again an example of commensalism. The third example which we'll be talking is the interaction between the sea anemone. It's found in the marine and clownfish. Now, sea anemone has a structure which is like this. And these are the tentacles which are found at the mouth. And these tentacles are stinging ones. That means they are for the protection. And these stinging tentacles, within which reside the clownfish. And this clownfish actually gets the protection. So over here, the clownfish as a partner gets protection from its predators, and the sea anemone does not get any advantage, or neither it is getting any harm from this clownfish. So it remains unaffected. This is again plus, and this will be 0 because it is not getting affected. We can have one more example. That is the suckerfish and the shark. The suckerfish and the shark. So fourth example that we'll be talking is suckerfish and shark. Now, suckerfish is actually attached to the lower side, underside of the shark, and they are attached with the help of sucker. That's why the name suckerfish. Now, when they will be attached to the shark, they have the advantage of getting or being carried away easily or dispersed easily to various areas of the sea with the help of the shark, because it is closely associated with it. And also it will get the food which will be easily available, also the protection. In this association again, the shark remains unaffected. So the shark will not be affected in any way due to the presence of the suckerfish, but suckerfish has the advantage of getting the food easily available and the protection and the movement. Easy movement. And shark remains unaffected. So here we find the commensalism as an example or the type of population interaction in which only one of the species. Over here, association between cattle ergot and cattle, only the cattle ergot is getting the benefit, because it is getting the insects as food as it is moving along with the cattle because of the stirring up or bringing about the insect on the surface. Then orchids and mango tree, it is an epiphytic relationship where the orchids grow as an epiphyte on the mango tree. Example is Vanda. And the benefit orchid gets is the shelter, whereas the mango tree remains unaffected. Again, the sea anemone and the clownfish. Here, the sea anemone is a host where the clownfish thrives, and in return, the clownfish gets the advantage, but the sea anemone remains unaffected. Over here, fourth example, suckerfish and shark, we find suckerfish getting all the advantage, and the shark remains unaffected. So this is commensalism, where one of the species gets the benefit and the other remains unaffected.